Hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Professor Tua Rust here. Hey, I'm going to start running these videos hopefully every day. I'm shooting for up to 3 times a day, and one of these videos will be on how I'm trading. So, for those of you guys who are interested in a little bit higher level stuff and wanting to know what I like to do with my spare time, this is what I'm doing. So I'm an avid trader, and I've recently gotten involved in options. I've been trading for about 20 years, but I always had trouble leveraging my account, and options are a way to leverage your account if you're good at trading. So this is me explaining how I trade. I always start with the Dow Jones, and Dow Jones will show up on the screen of what it means. But the Dow, you always need to follow what the Dow is doing. You always need to be moving in the direction of the market. And so right now, I was looking at it, and I had a downward bearish view of the market. It was going down. This is all going, down on the daily. This is going down on the 5-minute scale. And even on the 1 minute scale, it was going down with this little blip at the end. So I was like, okay, probably going down. With the exception that there's a small little rectangle forming on Monday, right? But there's rectangles all these days, and it keeps falling down. So I wanted to have some puts. I trade options, and so puts are when you basically feel like the stock's going down. You can buy a put, which buys you the ability or the right to make a short. But I kept finding calls, more and more and more calls. And originally I had these as my calls, but I didn't have enough puts, and so I researched more stocks that had moved throughout the day and found Dave and Buster's and Real, I think Real London or something. But they were also ones that had calls. They were bullish, and I even tried to put one as a possible down play as well. So that was the first kind of weird indicator that I knew something wasn't right when I had so much bullish stuff going on, and yet the market and everything seemed to point toward being down. Well, of course we know what happened. Now, yes, the futures. If we look at the news, you won't see it at the bottom, but the beginning news shows that the prices are improving, blah 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 blah, all of that stuff, and of course, when you look at an opening of one of these stocks, it's also shooting up through the roof. So it was no real surprise when the Dow Jones opened. What was a surprise is at what value it opened. So you got to realize this is me looking at the Dow Jones, right? Just kind of watching it, going, okay, 1800, 1880, or 18,000. Boom, opens up at 19,000, almost 20,000. And so, of course, we know what happened since then. It has a wonderful day. And the result is that this thing just completely rejects the downward channel perfectly. You'll kind of see that I labeled it pretty nicely, kind of hit it on the dot a little bit. Let's see if I can get a view in there. But this is where it had to break that trend, and you can see a nice clean break. Tried to retrace, barely even did, and then it really just didn't even. I mean, it pulled back here and there, but it didn't ever go below the previous day's low, right? With this inner trade here that was brought it back a little bit more than what it could have. It was going on a crazy trajectory, but it rose 10%, so awesome. How did that play out in my stocks? Well, my stocks went from looking like this to looking like this. All my puts went away. I had nothing I could play. And the problem with the stocks I wanted to buy is they all went through the roof. Right, here was a stock I wanted to buy. This was my entrance somewhere down here. It had risen up to this point, fell down. I thought, well, maybe it'll rise up. The thing not only pushes through there, but opens up at my one of my exit points. Within the first 5-10 minutes, blows through all of my exit points. Yes, maybe I bought it here, but remember, I'm trading options. I'm not doing stocks, so I can't buy and sell within 3 minutes always if my options aren't liquid. And you see what happened. This thing fell all the way back down to where it started within an hour or two. So very much a whipsaw day for these stocks. They were not knowing what was going on with them. This is another stock that was doing well, and I thought, okay, maybe it was a stock I could play if it breaks this resistance. It not only did, it shot way through it, and actually this would have been a good stock to play. But the problem is, if you look at it on the intraday, when I was looking at it. See, this is my entry point, and I was like, okay, maybe. And then within the second minute, it already shot up a ton. And by the third minute, it was stalling out, and then it fell all the way back down to where I was going to enter at. So what do I do with that, right? Is this a stock I buy or not? And look, it's very indecisive for a long time, so I didn't play it. Yes, it did end up kind of going up, but very shakily. I don't even think it ever really broke. Finally, at the end, it shot up, right? So this is not a play you could have guessed or so from the onset. And all of these are like this. This is it coming up and down, and okay, maybe I'll buy in at 7, but by the time, the morning comes along, look at that, it's already at 8. It already hit not only the first, second, third, but the very highest. I don't have anything higher than that. I didn't know what to do if the stock went higher than that. It went beyond my measures in the after hours of trading where you normally can't trade, and that's where it opened. So what were you going to do with that? Blew off everything I did. Well, it wasn't strong enough for me to keep trading it. Probably could have with this one. It did have a nice ride, but just completely blew everything out of the water. So this is the struggle I was in, and then I came across eBay. So eBay was one. I keep a little of these that I've looked at over the days. Starbucks. This is my friend 8x8's company. I was looking at that. McDonald's and such. So looking at them, and I stumbled across eBay. Now eBay, if we look at it, is a stock that is old, right? Since 1999, and it shot up to 25, came back down, shot up to. I like to do this. I like to look at every stock from beginning to end whenever I trade it, just to get a feel. It goes up to 30, comes back down a little, then shoots up. Look at that. Gaps open, gaps down, gaps up. This is some movement in the last few years, and then shoots all the way up to 45 before falling down. And the last time it fell, going up and falling again. But if you realize, it doesn't fall all the way down to 0. This thing came all the way down to 0 at the beginning, and it hasn't. In fact, it's fallen down to some relative resistance over the years. So as this thing was falling, I wasn't as concerned with it crashing on me. And so when I saw what was happening and I was looking for anything, I said, okay, well, let's look at eBay. Well, looking at it on the daily, it hit up. It was a nice channel, right? It behaved very beautifully. Went up, and then went down, then went up, then went down, and went up and went down. Went up, raised a little above, came back down, very, very steady, kind of went down, came back up. Reminds me like an Intel or something that follows patterns but gets rid of these scalpers who think it's a breakout and whatnot. So this is where we were landing. And so I was like, we're kind of at the bottom. So if we're kind of at the bottom, then maybe it'll bottom out. And so the play became, okay, I'm sitting here looking at it, at this part of the day, or where is it? Like around this part of the day, and it's just touching this bottom. And I say, you know what? Let's go in. Let's buy it here and see what happens. And if it falls, it was a bad stop, but if it fell down to 26, I would get out, because I knew it could slip. And it almost did, but it caught right back up. And I might have even bought somewhere around here. I think it fell down, then came up, and that's when somewhere around here, I forget. So then I'm in, right? So I got in. I purchased a call order for just 3 days expiration. But this stuff is moving crazy. This is in one day it can move 3 or 4 points. So I don't need a long option here to get some gains. And then I watch it. So here's the pullback. Now, what's the Dow Jones doing at this point? The Dow Jones, I'll look at it in a second, but it's also kind of bumping along, moving up, moving down. Remember when the Dow Jones was kind of falling at the beginning of the day, toward the middle of the day? That's what happened here. But it didn't fall below this resistance that I had marked out earlier, based on my technical stuff. And it bounced back strongly, right? And you're seeing the volume starting to pick up here a bit too. And so here's the the volume kind of picking up here, and now the volume dies away, right? So you'd expect it to kind of fall a bit, and it does. But now look again, the volume picks up, right? The volume is higher here, and look at what it's doing. It's approaching it. So it went all the way down, tested it, right? It started above, went down, tested it, now came back up again. Now we're gonna have some fun. So this shot up and shot up beyond there, right? And now we're looking at trading in the mid 20s. So I am right now in eBay. I am up about 2 points or so. So almost 10%, maybe 5 or 7%. But in options trading, that could be up hundreds of percent depending on your expiration date and whatnot. So that is my trade. Tomorrow we'll look and see. Although I think I'm going to keep in eBay. My goal is to ride this up until it hits about 30 or 32. I think it can easily rise up. This is a long way to go. And if it does reverse, then I'll get out, and I will probably get out at around 27, I would say. If it falls below 27, I'd say it's over. But this thing is volatile. It can move a little bit. I'll let it have some give. 27 pretty much is a done deal. All right, guys. So that is my first take of the stocks. I'll see you again tomorrow.